friends, welcome back to the channel. Today whatever you touch has a semiconductor chip in it. It powers your laptop, it powers your mobile phone, and it powers your car and almost everything. So today we'll talk about how semiconductor chip is manufactured. Semiconductor chip is manufactured with a very advanced engineering process. It requires atomic material, it requires precision tool, it requires months of work. So today we'll talk about 7 stages of microchip development. It modifies the raw silicon to the brain of your chip. So first we'll talk about the wafer preparation, then deposition, then photoresist coating. Don't worry, we'll go in detail about each of the steps, and then lithography, and then etching, and ion implantation and packaging. So stay tuned, and we'll talk about all these stages in more detail. The first step of microchip preparation is wafer preparation. So the silicons are basically called ingot. It's a cylindrical shape, and this cylindrical shape is basically sliced with precision and making a very thin slice of silicon. That is a 99.9% purity in the silicon, and that is also polished. So this is the first step of semiconductor manufacturing. The second stage is basically the deposition. It basically applying a thin conductor and semiconductor layer is being put on the top of the thin slice of silicon. This is called the deposition of the metal on the silicon wafer. Next thing is basically the photoresist coating. Photoresist is nothing but it is sensitive to the ultraviolet ray. So in the latter stage, we'll use ultraviolet ray to make the chip. So before that, there is a photoresist coating is put on the silicon. This is basically important because some part of the photoresist coating is resistive to the ultraviolet ray, and some part is basically reactive to the ultraviolet ray. So this coating is done on top of this deposition layer. Next thing is basically the lithography. It is the most important and vital thing of chip fabrication. So this is basically all the top chip manufacturers who either does a semiconductor chip fabrication for their own design or do a contract manufacturing. They use lithography machines. So lithography machine, inside the lithography machine, this silicon wafer is put into. So this lithography machine is nothing but there is some ultraviolet ray is being passed through a aperture, and your chip design, the blueprint of the chip is basically put on the aperture. So there is a image or impression that is put on the wafer of the wafer that we have till now prepared after deposition and photoresist coating. So this lithography stage determines that how micro the chip can be, how many transistors the chip can hold. So this ultraviolet ray is passed into the wafer, and it is basically kind of chemical reaction with the photoresist coating. Some portion of the wafer is basically becomes more soluble after putting after exposing into the ultraviolet ray, and some part of the wafer is become more solid. So in this way, the lithography process makes a impression, kind of 3D impression of the chip on the wafer itself. So this goes to the lithography stage. Next stage is basically etching. Etching is nothing but whatever the impression that has been put into the, it removes the extra material on the wafer and makes it the 3D shape of the chip. So there are 2 types of etching, that is wet and dry. Dry etching is basically a gas is passed through the silicon wafer, and the unintended material has been shaken out of the wafer. And wet etching is basically some chemical solution is passed into the wafer so that the 3D chip is being formed on top of the wafer. It can have several layers, onto the wafer, but a 3D impression has been put onto the wafer itself. Now next step is ion implantation. So till now, whatever the wafer you have, it does not conduct electricity very well, because wafer as such, it's neither conductive nor resistive. Now it is bombarded with ions, so that the chip becomes conductive to the electricity. Whether you pass some electricity, it can pass through after the ion implantation only. So next thing is basically the packaging. So generally what happens, a wafer size, based on the wafer size, generally it becomes, I think, 300 millimeter kind of size the wafer has, and it can either create some hundreds of chips for a single wafer, or it can create up to some few dozens of chips onto the wafer. So then the chips are being cut on the wafer, and individual chips is being formed. These individual chips are joined, and then it is being packaged. This is the packaging stage. So all this stage I have given a brief summary of the stages. Each of the stages has further complexity into it, but today's video is not intended for discussing this individual the complexity of the individual stages, but just to give an overall idea of how semiconductor chip is being manufactured. So I hope that it clarifies to some extent, gives some idea about the semiconductor chip manufacturing process. Now I have given a brief summary of the different stages. There are 7 stages of semiconductor manufacturing. So what is your thoughts on that? So either you are a electronic engineer, or you are a semiconductor designer, or you actively work on the semiconductor manufacturing. For this, I think it is very easy process or easy thought for you, but we can brainstorm on this topic itself now or later part also. So what is your thought overall? Do you think that each of the stage can be made more accurate, or more I would say that fast, with the help of artificial intelligence? So do let me know by commenting on this video itself, and if you have any queries or questions, then that also you can ask in the comment section of the video. Now let's do a recap of whatever we have discussed today. We have discussed that why semiconductor is important in our day-to-day life. We discussed about what are the applications of semiconductor in our regular activity. We discussed about there are 7 stages of semiconductor manufacturing. I just give a brief overview of the stages. First is wafer preparation. From the cylindrical wafer, you made a slice of the wafer with 99.9% purity. Then there is the deposition of conducting and semiconducting material on top of the wafer. And then there is a photoresist coating. It is reactive to the ultraviolet ray. So some of the portion becomes more soluble, some of the portion becomes more solid when it is exposed to the ultraviolet ray itself. Then there is a lithography, the most important stage. In the lithography stage, there are some ultraviolet rays passed on to the wafer itself, and then the blueprint of the chip is being put on the aperture through which the ultraviolet ray is being passed, so that there is a 3D impression is put on the wafer itself, which is coated with the photoresist coating and the deposition layer. Next stage is basically the etching. Etching can be wet etching or dry etching, by which the unnecessary material has been washed or cleaned or removed from the wafer itself to give a 3D impression of the chip. And next is basically the ion implantation. So till now the chip does not conduct electricity, so after bombarding with the ion, it start conducting electricity and start become functional itself. And the 7th or last stage is basically the packaging, where from the wafer multiple chips are cut and they are joined and they are packaged. So these are the 7 stages we discussed today. And if you have liked this video, please subscribe this channel, and also give a like, and also share this video for better reach. And last but not the least, I would like to share that I have recently published a book on semiconductor. The name of the book is Semiconductor for All, and it discussed about different semiconductor manufacturing, semiconductor design, and also the artificial intelligence use of semiconductor, and also the electronic design automation on semiconductor. So I would highly recommend that you get or purchase this book from the Amazon. The link of the book will be given in the description section of the video. So I think that's all for today's. Get ready for the next video to come. Till then, Subhasish Chakraborti signing off.